So now we're going to talk about the thrilling outcome of the Ondo State governorship election, where, of course, the incumbent governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa of the All Progressive Congress, the APC, emerged the victorious winner over the weekend. So our expert panel will dive into the key factors that contributed to Aiyedatiwa's win, the impact of local dynamics, and what it means for Nigeria's democracy. We'll also like to, of course, examine, some controversies, some lessons learned from this critical election. We have in the studio joining me this morning is a public affairs commentator and legal practitioner, Pius Danba Pius, from, of course, that would be dissecting this with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you.
Yeah.
And also we have a reporter from Akure in Ondo currently who has been covering the election right from, the beginning, which was Friday the eve until Saturday, which was the election day, and would give us an update on the situation. Jonathan Andyi, good morning.
Morning.
Yes, Jonathan, so give us an update on the aftermath of the election. How are the people taking, the result?
In some areas, we observe that there's a bit of celebration, it's mixed feelings, I would say, while we have some areas where you have certain jubilating. So, and some other areas, it's, let's say, relatively calm. And I would say that this could also be attributed to their personal interest in the electoral process.
So you must have spoken to some electoral observers over there. What was their take on how the election went by?
Most of the observers that we spoke to did commend the INEC for the performance. Generally, they said it was peaceful. They said the sorting and counting was done appropriately to the satisfaction of party agents. And from this case, it's safe to say that the likelihood of bias against the REC, Oluwatoyin Babalola, was not reflected in the conduct of the polls. But they also raised concerns about the case of vote buying. Some went emphatically to mention that the strategy varied from one place to the other, and we had participants in some cases assigned to different routes, where some voters displayed their ballot papers as a condition for monetary compensation. And that's something to worry about.
Yeah. Also, we saw how, the opposition party, the PDP, had shown concerns about possible manipulation, and throwing that allegation on the air on several accounts. How are they reacting, post the election?
Post-election, on the side of some of the political parties, they are saying, like the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party have come out to say that the results are not the true reflection of the will of the people of Ondo State. And they are calling for a review of the exercise.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan, for that update.
Thank you.
All right, coming back to the studio, of course, our legal practitioner and public affairs commentator, Pius Danba Pius, is with us. Pius, you just heard what our reporter said over. Let me just have, an opening of your thoughts of how the election was conducted until the result.
Okay, well, I would say that INEC is improving a bit with respect to the conduct of elections in Nigeria, particularly the Ondo governorship election. You can see that the observers from the report they have given so far, particularly Yaga, it tallies, their projections tallied with the result that was announced by INEC. But this is not to say that there are no lapses in the process. So there is still room for improvement for INEC to do better in terms of winning the confidence of Nigerians to come out to participate in the process. Because if you look at the numbers of participation in the election, it's still quite low.
It is.
As far as I'm concerned.
Expectation was about 1,700,000. people, right? 1.7, I think.
Yeah, the total registered voters is even 2 point something million, about 2,053,000. You know. So, but when you look at the participation, it's only 500 persons that had confidence to come out. So that tells you the perception of Nigerians about the electoral process and the credibility of the process. Because if you don't believe that the process will be credible or will be transparent, or that your choice will actually be respected, then most Nigerians will shy away from the process. And I think that is a very big issue for INEC to begin to look into it and see how they can win the confidence of Nigerians over the process. Yes, they've been conducting elections for quite some time now. You know, since the return to democracy in 1999, we've had more than 5 election cycles, you know, with several off-season elections like this. You know, so I think that INEC has much to do. Not just INEC, but all the other political actors, especially the political parties as well, because the participation is not just INEC that will win the confidence of Nigerians in the process, but the political parties as well, so that they will be seen, you know, to be transparent in all the processes from the pre-election stage right up to the election stage, so that more people will find that inspiration that yes, we can come out and vote, and our choice will be respected.
Indeed. I mean, we had a phone in. I don't know if you had watched some of it, but then one of the callers shared his frustration, saying that, you know, he feels that all the politicians are the same. So with that mindset, definitely you would see why some people would feel not to even throw their energy out there to go out en masse to vote. But at the end of the day, you have to. If you don't go, then your country will not change. You will not get what you want. But then talking about, you know, the politicians and the political parties doing their own part, we saw cases of people being arrested with cash of money, you know, attempting for vote buying and all that. In legal terms, what are the consequences of this? Because people have, you know, been passing or getting away with things like this. People have been seeing it as something that is really menial, very small. So what is the punishment for that, and who is supposed to make sure that these people are held accountable?
Well, you see, vote buying is, I think, one of the major concerns now in our elections, because after the introduction of technology to the accreditation process, it has now become obvious to politicians that your rigging must be within the margin of people that participated in the accreditation, or those that were duly accredited. So they are now resorting to the use of money, you know, to influence the voters one way or the other. Now, and this has two implications. One, on the part of the politicians that are offering voters money or trying to induce them. Now, the security agencies are supposed to identify these people, you know, right from the point of, let me say, access to the cash that will be used for the elections or for vote buying. Now, if you look at our anti-money laundering laws, as an individual, the highest they can give you in cash is supposed to be 1 million naira, and then for a company is 5 million naira. So, and the amount of money you need, you know, to influence voters by paying them cash at the polling stations is quite a large amount of money if it's going to influence the election one way or the other. So what is the central bank doing in ensuring that these funds are not available to the political actors who are trying to use money to buy votes? You know, so there is, but the central bank has to also wake up to its responsibility in that regard, to ensure that the banks don't release funds like that to individuals who are likely or are politically exposed. And
but we all know that politicians save up money at home.
Yeah, if they are saving up money at home, and that is where the other security agencies also have to play their part, like the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the police, the ICPC, and all the other security agencies. They are supposed to be involved in generally detecting offenses or crimes in the country. So now, if somebody is going to move a large chunk of cash from one place to the other, the security agencies are supposed to monitor, and that is why you see even on election day there is a restriction of movement, and the security agencies are supposed to be in charge to curtail this. So I think that the preventive approach will better serve the interests of the election than even us trying to arrest those on the field attempting to buy votes or receiving money for vote buying. So if the processes are tightened up from the point of availability of cash to the political actors, and then of course the security agencies are properly monitoring the movement of cash all across the country, then you discover that the incidence of vote buying may greatly reduce. And then of course on the part of the voters, there is greater need for voter education, because some of them collect as low as 5,000 naira, just to sell their vote, not knowing the implication that the person that is buying your vote invariably wants to make profit out of it, and that means that there may not be water for you, there may not be roads for you, there may not be electricity for you, so it does not worth it, so there is greater need for voter education, so that the voters can also resist, because it takes two to tangle. While the politicians are attempting to buy, if the voters refuse to sell their votes, then the problem is solved. So it can be tackled from both ends.
All right, so let's talk about the drama that almost happened before the election, where the opposition party, one of the strongest opposition party, which is the PDP, coming out. Our reporter had to even cover some of them lamenting, complaining, saying the ruling party, which is of the incumbent governor's party, have sent thugs, allegedly, into the state, and they have doubt already that the election is going to come out free, fair. What is your take on that?
Well, you see, that is where the security agencies have to also live up to their responsibility, because, like I said, there is supposed to be a restriction of movement, and they are supposed to also monitor, what is being mobilized into the state by different political actors for the purpose of influencing the election. Now, if there is an allegation that some people are mobilizing talks to bring them into the state for the purpose of disrupting the elections or scaring voters, because that can also give an explanation if there is a low turnout in certain areas, because maybe they perceive that the opposition has areas of their stronghold where they are hoping that their supporters there can turn out and vote them. They will now try to create a panic situation there, such that people don't come out to vote. So I think that is where the security agencies need to do more by identifying those who are responsible for this kind of nefarious activities, and then let us see a prosecution being carried out. One thing with elections is that we see a lot of impunity with respect to violation of our electoral laws. Even from the last set of elections, we've not really seen prosecutions going on in various courts or in various tribunals with respect to those who violated the electoral laws. So there is need for more to be done in that aspect, so that it will serve as a deterrent to those who are willing to engage themselves in this kind of activities going forward.
Indeed. Well, let's talk about this election win. What is your take on that? Would you say that this election would be an impactful election on the local dynamics and, of course, looking at the greater picture of Nigeria's democracy? Would you say, based on your view on how everything happened, that democracy has really thrived?
Well, I think ours is a growing democracy, and I'm hoping that there will be a lot of improvement in the process. I'm not particularly excited about the election in Ondo State because there is no much difference with the last round of elections that was conducted by INEC. So I'm not
still in Ondo, or are you talking about Edo State?
Ondo State. So I'm not particularly excited about that. I would just rather want to see that there is a greater improvement in the electoral process that will inspire more confidence in Nigerians to participate in the process. Because at the moment, I feel like INEC is not making much progress with respect to getting the elections more credible.
So what would you say are the lessons that we have learned from this election?
Well, the lessons are quite more. When it comes to the issue of participation or getting more people to participate in the process, I think that INEC should be able to, carry out a voter sensitization, so that more people will participate, unless INEC figures are not to be relied upon, because we cannot have over 2 million registered voters and then only 500 are participating in the process. That's quite low to me. I feel that INEC should either look at their voter register critically and examine if indeed all of these people are properly in the register or not, because we have seen cases where we have underage persons in the voter register, we have dead people in the register, or we have even fictitious name entirely in the register. And the essence of registration is because the person wants to vote. If I don't want, registration is not compulsory, mind you. If you don't want to vote, there is no point registering. So the fact that people have registered should mean that they want to vote. Okay, so if now we end up with a very low number, then what has happened between the point of registration and at the time of voting? So I think that is one area that we should begin to interrogate properly and see if the numbers are fictitious in terms of registered voters, then the voter register should be cleaned up.
And of course, something is wrong.
Yes. And then if, of course, the numbers is genuine, then we should begin to engage the people and sensitize them on the need to participate, and then also improve the credibility of the process so that more people will have confidence to come out to participate in the process.
Indeed, well said. Thank you so much, Pius Danba Pius, for joining us to dissect Ondo election this morning. Appreciate you.
Thank you too. Thank you.
All right, with that, we wrap up this segment of the show. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll quickly dive into the front pages of the national dailies. Stay with us.